because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Thursday, 11th of August, 2022. It is day 2. And, we as the East African community and the rest of the world, we're still waiting for the, outcomes of the Kenya 2022 elections. I will tell you that according to provisional results that are being unveiled, I must say the competition is quite stiff and it's going neck to neck between William Ruto and Raila Odinga. But again, we are still tallying, or I could say the Kenyans are still tallying, and anytime from now, we could be getting the final results. Good morning, and thank you for being with us. My name is Philomena, Mastiko, and a lot is also happening for us here in the country, which I'm pretty sure that Felix, Mollen, and Robert here will be able to talk about, of course, myself inclusive. It is a Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Like always, we do throw it back a little bit, okay? It's all about nostalgia. What do you miss? What do you wish could still be, happening right now in 2022? Could be 2 years ago, could be 3 years ago. And you know that with the 2 years that happened there in between, it makes it look like it was about 10 years ago. I don't know whether it's the feeling I only have, or maybe it's a mutual feeling. Well, good morning, Felix.
Well, good morning, Philo. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm good. How are you doing?
Comme ci, comme ça.
Okay, the Frenchman.
Absolutely. How is the morning for you?
Well, no complaints, really. No complaints. I'm doing good. And
Tell you what.
It's a Thursday, yes.
Yeah, it's one of those days I know. You said Wednesdays were days that I got a little bit happy, but I know today it's Bob's day to be happy.
Yes.
Because there's only one day to the day for him to do his investigations.
Absolutely.
Wherever he'll do his journalistic work. So at least I know that he's one of those happy guys. But you did make mention about Kenya. Guys were able to go through the election.
Yes.
Fairly peaceful, because some of the areas were a bit of, elections.
Yes.
Excitement, anxiety, and all these kind of things. But definitely they got done with their major elections, at least for the side of governors and the representatives. At least results already out.
Yes.
Who won, who lost, and all that. But for the big seat, we're yet to know. But at least as of this morning, press time, we were able to see that William Ruto was still
in the lead. Yes.
At least by about 51%, and Ndugu Raila was slightly behind by about 48 point something. So, but nevertheless, those are not final.
Yes.
Tentative.
Tentatively, so
to be quite clear.
Yes.
But today you say being Thursday throwback, I just want to allow me ask Bob a question. But okay.
You know what? Robert, good morning. Let me tell you, somebody planned for you the whole night, and we have a pending story. Yesterday, we have a pending story, and we'll be getting into that. But how was your night?
My night was fine.
Yes.
Actually, I was following the Kenya elections. The tiring, at one time you're jumping, then you don't understand things. And there's some common thing with Africa elections, the fear of monitored. Sometimes results are funny. You only have to wait for the electoral bodies to announce. One time one is leading and you're like, okay, then things shift, keep on changing. But anyway, that is as results trickle in. But away from Kenya, we're also having 2 by-elections today.
Yes.
In Uganda. And I want to say these are very interesting, because one, we are having a candidate on a ballot paper, yet he withdrew from the race. That is Gogonyo. The candidate withdrew,
yes,
but he's going to appear on the ballot paper, and they are going to vote for him. But he withdrew,
yes,
after nomination.
But I think that's very understandable, because the time they withdraw, they already printed it.
So no, actually, what they do is they would have cancelled the election. When you withdraw and it's only one candidate remaining, what they have to do is they cancel that election, so this person automatically has gone through. But
because
now,
because
unopposed, but the party of that person must write to the Electoral Commission Now, when the NUP candidate withdrew, NUP never wrote to the Electoral Commission to tell them that their candidate has withdrawn from the race. So that keeps their candidate, because he wasn't an independent, in the race, despite the fact having withdrawn. So it's a very interesting scenario. And I'm asking myself, now by accident, what if this guy ends up winning the election?
But because this picture is appearing on the...
And people are going to tick and vote him.
Every vote that they tick of his is invalid, simple.
Yes.
Because he can't go through Robert.
Absolutely.
That is what they call, no, it's,
But I want to take you back
what they call
to,
judicial
because I've
notice.
been listening to the electoral chairperson of that particular area saying the party is mandated. You don't come as an individual. So if your party has not written to us, telling us, then for us to still consider you.
Well,
and it's very interesting.
Election talk by election talk gets a tougher by the minute. But Mollen, how are you feeling about all this election conversation? Earlier on, I saw you throwing tantrums.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, she was throwing tantrums. And I was wondering what's happening to the other lady here.
Well, I do have a little bit of roots in Kenya that have personally imposed myself there.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I think it is sentimental for me. But I want to say good morning to the team and the rest of the Good Morning Uganda family. Well, I also do have friends, and they kind of influenced my decision of who I'm supporting among the race. And so when I saw William Ruto at around 51%, I'm like, no way, I wanted that to be Raila Odinga. But nevertheless, the race is still on, and anytime those results could actually change, because I know that there are some provinces that haven't submitted in the final tally, so I'm counting on that. But at least I also want to add to what Felix was saying. We saw a little bit of peace in these elections and during the electoral time. I can say it is not something that as Uganda we can relate to, so we should be borrowing a leaf from there. But also Philomena, the president of Somalia is in the country, and of course he did emphasize something that I was very interested in, talked about trade in the East African community and the opportunities that are out there that we could as well share. But also you look into the fact that we are, post-COVID, and a lot of businesses have gotten into a situation where you don't know where the next day your business is going. But him coming out to say, you know what, Uganda has had businesses that have actually been across East Africa, and that is something that other East African countries could also be looking forward to and take a leaf from Uganda. For me, it just made me happy, because we can't be a country that is known for all these bad things, especially when we are talking about elections. And you just saw that drama happening right there. Someone withdraws from the election, and they are not even writing officially, and now it's left to the voters to wonder, okay, who do we vote for in that ballot? So that kind of drama around Uganda is just something that I think we're very much tired of.
Which reminds me of what Felix was talking about yesterday. He was saying, you see what happens here in Uganda is not really so different from what happens in other African countries. You know, it could be the trend, it could be done in a different way, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. And indeed, maybe it's the seniority that happens while we are doing all these things, and maybe the degree that differs. Well, I will tell you one thing for sure is that elections always have their own drama. By-elections always have their own drama that comes along. But at the end of the day, we see our way through it, and we get our winners in whatever way that we can afford to. A lot happening definitely on the platform of news, and right about now we're about to let you know what is happening here in Uganda and also outside Uganda, on the East African bloc, on the African continent, and of course way beyond that.
We'll start with the by-elections in Gogonyo, where all is set for the parliamentary by-elections of Gogonyo County in Palis district that are to be held today in regards of the inconsistencies surrounding the polls that saw the current seat going vacant. By closure of business yesterday, the NRM candidate, Derek Oren, seemed to be the only candidate still interested in the position, as the other two, Issa Taligola and Noops Joseph Okoboe, withdrew from the race. However, by law, after Noops Secretary General failed to write to the Electoral Commission to confirm the withdrawal of its candidate, this has compelled the Electoral Commission to carry on with the voting exercise, with the NUP candidate that withdrew being on the ballot paper.
On our Uganda Road Magistrate Court has set at least the 31st of August 2022 to kickstart with the hearing of the case where the former Uganda Airlines boss Cornwell Muleya is facing charges of disobeying lawful orders from the Inspectorate of Government. Now, prosecution informed court that the inquiries in the matter are complete, thus asking court to set the hearing date. Now, in related news, the same court has set the 10th of October 2022 to resume with the case where city lawyer Nyonyintono Felix is on charges of obtaining money by false pretense.
And now going to Parliament and politics, Toro District Woman Member of Parliament Sarah Opendi is seeking leave of Parliament to present a constitutional amendment to revise the education qualifications for members of Parliament. The amendment will, among others, require anyone seeking to contest have a minimum of a university degree, or so will increase female representation in Parliament.
Now, still in local stories, a Ministry of ICT is working with Centenary Technology Services together with UNCDF in an initiative aimed at acquiring single digital platforms for farmers. Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, Amina Zawede, echoed this while launching a partnership between UNCDF and Centenary Technology Services to develop the first farmers hub in Uganda.
Now, looking at some of the international stories, former U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he refused to answer questions under oath during an appearance before the New York State Attorney General in an investigation into his business dealings. Trump had appeared at State Attorney General Letitia James's offices on Wednesday morning to testify in a long-running civil probe of the Trump Organization's finances. The Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution grants the right to remain silent when questioned by authorities to protect against self-incrimination. Trump's deposition in New York came less than 2 days after FBI agents searched his home in Florida as part of a separate investigation looking into possible mishandling of classified documents by the former president, according to several U.S. media outlets. The New York Attorney General launched the civil investigation back in 2019 after Trump's former personal lawyer Michael Cohen testified in Congress that the ex-president exaggerated his assets when it served his purposes. Crossing over to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has declared victory in his country's battle against COVID-19 and ordered pandemic restrictions imposed in May to be lifted. Presiding over a meeting with health workers and scientists, Kim announced a victory in the war against the malignant pandemic disease, state news agency KCNA reported on Thursday. His powerful sister, Kim Yo-jong, also spoke at the Pyongyang meeting, blaming the outbreak on anti-Pyongyang leaflets flown across the border by activists from South Korea. The isolated country, which has mostly kept its borders closed since the start of the pandemic back in 2020, revealed in May that it was battling an outbreak of the Omicron variant and imposed a maximum emergency epidemic prevention system. It has reported no new cases of the virus since July 29th.
And back in Africa, Sierra Leone imposes curfew amid anti-government protests. Now, anti-government protests in Sierra Leone have clashed with police in the streets of the capital, Freetown, as tensions over the rising cost of living turned deadly in West African nation. Now, in a national broadcast on Wednesday, Vice President Mohamed Julde Jallo said that lives of both policemen and civilians were lost without giving further details. He announced a nationwide curfew from 3 p.m. local time, which is 1500 GMT, and the protesters demanded the departure of President Julius Maada Bio, who was elected in 2018 and still has 10 months left in his term. The demonstrators chanted "Bio must go" as they made their way through the capital, Freetown, And videos on social media showed large crowds and protesters with piles of burning tires in eastern Freetown, and other footage showed a group of young men throwing rocks on the streets filled with whitish smoke and another group attacking a man on ground. Now, these unscrupulous individuals have embarked on a violent and an unauthorized protest which has led to loss of lives of innocent people, including security personnel, said Vice President Jallo. He did not say how many have died so far. In the weather and climate news, the Earth spun faster than usual on June 29th and triggered climate anxiety. Now, the Earth shaved 1.5 million milliseconds off its rotation on June 29th, 2022, and became the shortest day recorded since the accurate daily measurements using atomic clocks first began in the 1960s. Now, the length of day is measured by how fast or slow the Earth is spinning, and data from recent years showed that the Earth is spinning faster than it has ever been, according to the scientists who study the Earth's rotation. Now, 28 of the shortest days ever recorded were in 2020, but June 29th and July 26th this year surpassed the shortest day in 2020 simultaneously. Now, days are mysteriously getting longer, according to scientists who wrote about it in the Science Alert, and it is unclear what accounts for the change, but scientists have predictions about potential causes like changes in weather patterns, major earthquakes, melting ice caps, and more. Now, for many, these new findings, coupled with severe heat we have been experiencing around the world and extreme flooding like seen in Kentucky and Missouri, are triggering feelings of climate anxiety.
Well, taking you back to the Kenyan elections, our reporter is definitely there, Dennis Segoa, and he should be joining us any minute right now to tell us how the situation is, you know, the anticipation, because I will tell you after day 2 and seeing how the competition is getting harder and hotter, most Kenyans right now must be quite exasperated. But we cannot wait to see what he'll be telling us. But today being a Throwback Thursday, I just want to know from you, Robert, what are you throwing back to? Come on, Robert, you have a lot. You really have a lot that you can...
I'm trying to see what can suit the people I'm with, the age group.
Well, it doesn't really have to suit
Because I want
us.
to talk about things that you don't really understand.
Well,
you know,
we're not really that dumb
like
either,
the
but we can understand.
No, during the days of Sekaba Kamutesa, many of you never saw him. So
But it would be interesting to know. Well, while you're thinking about it, I want to know from you.
I
what
think
yes.
I miss those days where women used to dress very decently.
Well,
Yeah, and we wouldn't see accidents, we wouldn't see these temptations that you
are
see.
you trying to say right now
everywhere.
that because women dress indecently, that's why we're seeing an increase in road accidents? Is that yes?
Well, recently I asked someone, why have you hit someone's bumper? And he said, the truth is I was looking at that lady, see how indecent the dress she is. And when I turned to check, yes,
You
the
also
lady
hit
was
someone's
almost...
bumper.
No, I didn't hit someone's bumper, but the lady was almost naked.
Kirabo.
So those days where, you know, your little children would move, where there wasn't a lot of half-nakedness or nudeness everywhere. You're moving with a child and you want to touch their eyes, not to see.
Well,
you know?
I think
miss
that
those
is
days.
quite a very shallow reason that you're giving, Robert. But everybody, you know, I mean, it's not just because somebody's really being indecent. Everybody has to be alert on the road, okay? So you cannot really stand here and say that because a woman is indecently dressed, that is the reason why.
I told you that's
quite
the
a
reason I
very
was
shallow
giving.
reason. But
That's the reason I was giving. You know, have you noticed some ladies when they are driving and they're in their cars, you know, and they have these very skimpy dresses, you know? Very skimpy dresses. They're almost, and you're driving a
Kirabo,
car
why
that
are you
is a
looking
bit
in someone's car for starters?
Well, no, let
Keep
me
your
drive
eyes on
my
the road,
point.
dude. Man.
You've asked me, isn't it? So I'm trying to explain.
anyway,
So
Mollen, what
have
are you
to tell
throwing
your child,
back to?
don't
Because today's a
look, don't do
Thursday,
that,
because
don't
Robert here seems to have quite some.
I don't know, maybe someone pissed him off in that regard. I don't want to say, but it seems he has his personal issues. But if you ask me what I'm throwing back for today, I'll tell you one thing. I will just throw back really, really long time ago when I was a little girl. I just miss the days when I was a little girl and playing around.
That long is actually
I know
long.
very, very long time ago when I was like 5, 6, 7. So now you know what I'm talking about. When I could just be playing around because I no longer have that time. I'll tell you one thing, Philomena.
Yes.
Monday to Sunday, you are just busy with this, busy with that, and playtime is no longer there. So if I could go back, if I could go back and have some of that time back and play around, because I don't have that luxury anymore. Yeah.
She misses Gogoro, playing in the rain. You know?
I never did Gogoro, so I don't know. What is that again?
Oh, Felix knows. Felix knows Gogoro.
Mollen was a cool kid.
There's only one way to tell. If you want to find out who did Gogoro, there's only one way to tell. But by looking at...
I can assure you, I don't know what that means.
No, but there were very, very interesting games back in the day. Very interesting games back in the day. Well, right now we're going in for the song of the day. When we get back, we'll be giving you quite a number of updates on what is happening on the results coming in, of course, from Kenya. You know, we have different talent centers. There have been very many reasons and issues, people talking about why are we receiving different results from different people. Well, we'll be getting into that. But also, before we get in there, we need to know what this great man has to tell us about the bottles he's holding.
Well, I'll start with a brown lady with a brown bottle.
So this morning I'm holding Hallelujah Tamarind fruit drink, and this drink is actually well known, like Robert always puts it, to be one of those that can take away your hangover in case you have taken something a little too much. So this will do for you, but it also has a lot of ginger, sucrose and acid regulators. Now if you're one that needs to cleanse your body every once in a while, this is a product for you. And of course I would recommend to take twice a day at least. It's just, you know, that good, and you must have it at least for the drinks that you keep in your refrigerator. Make sure this is one of them.
And I have Hallelujah banana juice and Hallelujah ginger tea. Now, for the people of Mbale, we know this weekend we are there with you. We are launching the Embaru ceremony, but you need that energy. These young men, you need to be healthy enough. Please have any of these drinks. They will boost your immune system, give you that energy to run around the entire village as you prepare for circumcision. But also, they are good to enjoy the mood, as it is going to be a beehive of activity there as we officially launch Embaru. And of course, I'm not leaving my colleague Felix.
Well, we're going in for a break. When we get back, we'll still have a lot to unpack for you right here on Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Why are you looking in someone's car for starters?
Well, no,
keep your eyes on the road, dude. Man.
You've asked me, isn't it? I'm trying to explain.
Anyway, Mollen, what are you throwing back to? Because today's a Thursday, because Robert here seems to have quite some.
I don't know, maybe someone pissed him off. I don't want to say, but it seems he has personal issues. But if you ask me what I'm throwing back for today, I'll tell you one thing. I will just throw back really, really long time ago when I was a little girl. I just miss the days when I was a little girl and playing around.
That long is actually long.
Very, very long time ago when I was like 5, 6, 7. So now you know what I'm talking about. When I could just be playing around, because I no longer have that time. I'll tell you one thing, Philomena.
Yes.
Monday to Sunday, you are just busy with this, busy with that, and playtime is no longer there. So if I could go back, if I could go back and have some of that time back and play around, because I don't have that luxury anymore.
She misses Gogoro, playing in the rain. You know?
I never did Gogoro, so I don't know. What is that again?
Oh, Felix knows. Felix knows Gogoro.
Mollen was a cool kid.
There's only one way to tell. If you want to find out who did Gogoro, there's only one way to tell. But by looking
I can assure you, I don't know what that means.
No, but there were very interesting games back in the day. Very interesting games back in the day. Well, right now we're going in for the song of the day. When we get back, we'll be giving you quite a number of updates on what is happening on the.
Well, why are you looking in someone's car for starters?
Well, no,
Keep your eyes on the road, dude. Man.
You've asked me, isn't it? So I'm trying to explain.
Anyway, Mollen, what are you throwing back to? Because today's a Thursday, because Robert here seems to have quite some.
I don't know, maybe someone pissed him off in that regard. I don't want to say, but it seems he has his personal issues. But if you ask me what I'm throwing back for today, I'll tell you one thing. I will just throw back really long time ago when I was a little girl. I just miss the days when I was a little girl and playing around.
That long is actually
I know long. Very long time ago when I was like 5, 6, 7. So now you know what I'm talking about. When I could just be playing around because I no longer have that time. I'll tell you one thing, Philomena.
Yes.
Monday to Sunday, you are just busy with this, busy with that, and playtime is no longer there. So if I could go back, if I could go back and have some of that time back and play around, because I don't have that luxury anymore.
She misses Gogoro, playing in the rain. You know?
I never did Gogoro, so I don't know. What is that again?
Oh, Felix knows. Felix knows Gogoro.
Mollen was a cool kid.
There's only one way to tell. If you want to find out who did Gogoro, there's only one way to. But by looking at.
I can assure you, I don't know what that means.
No, but there were very interesting games back in the day. Very interesting games back in the day. Well, right now we're going in for the song of the day. When we get back, we'll be giving you quite a number of updates on what is happening on the.
Well, why are you looking in someone's car for starters?
Well, no,
keep your eyes on the road, dude. Man.
You've asked me, isn't it? So I'm trying to explain.
Anyway, Mollen, what are you throwing back to? Because today's a Thursday, because Robert here seems to have quite some.
I don't know, maybe someone pissed him off in that regard. I don't want to say, but it seems he has his personal issues. But if you ask me what I'm throwing back for today, I'll tell you one thing. I will just throw back really long time ago when I was a little girl. I just miss the days when I was a little girl and playing around.
That long is actually
I know long. Very long time ago when I was like 5, 6, 7. So now you know what I'm talking about. When I could just be playing around because I no longer have that time. I'll tell you one thing, Philomena.
Yes.
Monday to Sunday, you are just busy with this, busy with that, and playtime is no longer there. So if I could go back, if I could go back and have some of that time back and play around, because I don't have that luxury anymore.
She misses Gogoro, playing in the rain. You know?
I never did Gogoro, so I don't know. What is that again?
Oh, Felix knows. Felix knows Gogoro.
Mollen was a cool kid.
There's only one way to tell. If you want to find out who did Gogoro, there's only one way to. But by looking at.
I can assure you, I don't know what that means.
No, but there were very interesting games back in the day. Very interesting games back in the day. Well, right now we're going in for the song of the day. When we get back, we'll be giving you quite a number of updates on what is happening on the.
Well, why are you looking in someone's car for starters?
Well, no,
keep your eyes on the road, dude. Man.
You've asked me, isn't it? So I'm trying to explain.
Anyway, Mollen, what are you throwing back to? Because today's a Thursday, because Robert here seems to have quite some.
I don't know, maybe someone pissed him off in that regard. I don't want to say, but it seems he has his personal issues. But if you ask me what I'm throwing back for today, I'll tell you one thing. I will just throw back really long time ago when I was a little girl. I just miss the days when I was a little girl and playing around.
That long is actually
I know long. Very long time ago when I was like 5, 6, 7. So now you know what I'm talking about. When I could just be playing around because I no longer have that time. I'll tell you one thing, Philomena.
Yes.
Monday to Sunday, you are just busy with this, busy with that, and playtime is no longer there. So if I could go back, if I could go back and have some of that time back and play around, because I don't have that luxury anymore.
She misses Gogoro, playing in the rain. You know?
I never did Gogoro, so I don't know. What is that again?
Oh, Felix knows. Felix knows Gogoro.
Mollen was a cool kid.
There's only one way to tell. If you want to find out who did Gogoro, there's only one way to.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID? my role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Monga and Tayebo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
Every party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We own
by one MP, you yourself.
And my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera, refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Three minutes after 7 a.m. right here on Good Morning Uganda, coming to you live on UBC TV from a very beautiful and very interesting studios. You should pay us a visit one time. It will be very nice, okay? Having a conversation with part of our community. Well, we are still talking the Kenya 2022 election results. Now, from yesterday, we have been seeing quite, provisional or tentative results coming in from different tally centers and of course from different TV stations right there in Kenya. But I can tell you one thing for sure is that of course as of yesterday we had William Ruto, who was taking quite a lead, and he was standing at about 50.124%, and we also did have Raila Odinga, who was also standing at about 49.1. But again, that is yesterday. We do have quite very many hours there, and the results are still coming in from different polling stations. So we are yet to find out what is what. But all I can tell you right now is that the competition is very hard and tight, at least between these two contenders. And imagine us in Uganda here feeling like this. What is the Kenyan, an ordinary Kenyan feeling right now? And this is what Dennis Sigoa is going to be telling us. How are they handling all this? Because at least we know that they gave them about 1 week, okay, for them to have declared these results. It could be the 1 week or even way before that. For as long as, all these elections results come in, they will declare them. But Dennis Sigoa should be telling us, how does it feel like waiting this long? Dennis, thank you for joining us once again. Good morning.
Good morning too. How are you doing?
I'm all right, and the team is doing well. But speaking of the elections, it's day 2 after the voting, the active voting happened. Now, some results have already started coming in, especially when it comes to the MPs, governors. But the big seats, the presidential candidate, who is going to be the next president of Kenya, we haven't seen those, but we have seen provisional results. And I know that this throws quite a number of Kenyans into an anticipatory mode. What's happening? How are the Kenyans taking this waiting period?
Exactly. What you've just said is very right. There is I've been following up on the discussions on TV this morning, And you can realize that people are getting, there's that mood of everyone is anticipating IEBC to have the results out very, very soon as today. But then, if you have been following up, I know you guys, the Good Morning Uganda team have also been keeping tabs with the developments in Kenya. IEBC says they still have like 7 days to ensure those 7 days to declare the results, and they cannot be put under a lot of pressure because they have to get this right. But the electorate are saying this, that, well, anyway, you got this one right in terms of, if you have to talk about the voting process, we'll say so. The exercise was conducted relatively well, very fast somehow, with a lot of, just a few hitches. So there was that excitement, and people thought like, if this has been done, if this was done this way, then we we expect to have the results out possibly in 24 hours. But that is not the case, as you can see. Yeah, the wait is still on. People are still waiting. They are getting. There are very many analysts who are talking about this. Others claim that, of course, right now the IEBC is just playing the delaying games. They actually know who is ahead or who has won. But I can't say that. But then the only thing that is there, that if you've been following up this election, like I'm saying earlier, like I hinted earlier on, I know most of you have been following up, is that there is the Bomas of Kenya is the nerve center of the election. So that's where IEBC is best, and that's where the final results are supposed to be relayed from. But then, until now, they have not relayed anything. What you're seeing on TV, or maybe on the print, is because it's from the media houses. You know, media houses here is like Citizen, NTV. They also have their team on ground, also doing the tallying process. So, and this is causing a lot of. If you watch two or three or four, 5 screens, you'll actually realize that the results on maybe in Oro TV, KBC, Citizen, and KTN, they're all different. And that has been, people have been asking you people, where are you getting all this from? Why don't we have like one template? Why don't we have the results showing the same, the screen showing the same results? But there's been an explanation that all this media, now the Form 34As that are supposed to be submitted, the Form 34As that are coming from the constituencies have been uploaded onto the IEBC website, I think so. And media houses, or some of these, the journalists who are accredited, who have the right to cross-check this and also utilize the information, have been using it. It just depends on which constituency have you picked and which numbers have you picked. So that's why you see there's a very big gap. If you watch on, for example, on NTV, you realize that Raila Odinga is ahead by about 51%. And Ruto is about 48%. But if you flip on to Citizen TV, you realize that Citizen TV has like Ruto at 50% ahead with about close to 150,000 votes, and Raila on 48%. But as people have been asking very many questions, but I keep on telling them, at the end of the day, there is an organization here. There's an agency that is entitled the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that is in charge of this election, and they are those are the ones who are entitled. They are actually supposed to be the ones to relay the results. So, and they have asked for the Kenyans, for the citizens, to be very patient. But then, you know, in an election which is so much digitalized, most of the things are done using of course, the Kim's kit. You put your thumbprint and do this, and then the counting took place very fast. For people to wait for 7 days, I think it looks like a very long time. Yeah. And there is a caution, as I've been following up on the Anders TV, there is a caution to IEBC. They tell them, please ensure that the results should be out in the next 24 hours. 24 hours meaning at this time tomorrow morning, people expect to IEBC to have released the results.
So my brother Sigo, just a quick one about this tallying. Do we have all the results from the different provinces at the tally centers? We've been hearing sort of like allegations that some of the provinces like Nakuru and others have not yet been fully brought to count. So do we have all results counted? At least do we have all the results from the different provinces at the center of this tally?
I would say Nakuru, maybe just to correct you a little bit, Nakuru is not a province, it's a county. It's a county inside the Rift Valley province, just like Kisumu Kisumu is a county in the Nyanza province. So the results so far from what has already been delivered to Bomas of Kenya, that is where I told you the nerve center of the elections, based in Nairobi, the digital documents have already arrived. 99%, that's everything is there. So what is delaying the relaying of the results is that there's that Form 34A that is supposed to be, the returning officers are supposed to deliver them, and they are supposed to be delivered physically. You know, Kenya is I wouldn't say it's a big country, of course, like for example from Turkana, from Mombasa, Kilifi, if you're to talk about Kisumu, all these papers are supposed to be delivered. And of course, the mode of transport is by road. They are supposed to be delivered physically at the Bomas of Kenya. And what IEBC has said that they won't release of course, they have received from what I've heard, they have received quite a number of these Form 34As, but they say they are going to, first of all, to have some time, and they are going to start, first of all, they're going to address the press today at 10 a.m. to give them an update on what exactly they should be expecting in the course of the day. But the Form 34As, when they arrive, the data that is in those papers, in those forms or those result forms, are supposed to tally with what is inside, by the copies that were sent, electronically. So basically, I think it is only the IEBC that has the rights, the rights of relaying the results, and then of course they've called for patience. But you know, when the delays take place, and already some people say, of course, if you've been following up on the discussions, that by this time, actually this morning, most of the candidates know their results. Let it be presidential, governor, MCA, the MPs, because some have already accepted defeat. Some of them have already considered defeat and even congratulated their challengers. So the argument is for example, in the presidential race, there are those ones who know very well because they are agents. The numbers are there, the figures are there. So they are urging IBC to move fast and ensure that the results that are relayed should be relayed in time, and they should not cause any kind of more delays. Of course, people will start asking questions. Why is it so and so? And of course, they'll say, okay, it seems that now maybe they want to change this to favor the team so and so. So exactly that is what is happening. But very many, of course, the results have been relayed. The results are ready. The MPs, governors, already there are others. As I was coming down to Kisumu last evening, I already found very many people along the way celebrating, all the way from where exactly the side of Kericho down to Ahero to Kisumu. You'll find people, the people, the MCAs, that is members of the county assembly, some of them MPs already with their people, with their fans or whatever, their supporters, were on the roads, on the streets, celebrating. So that's what is keeping people now. The presidential race is I would say, is the most important and is the most anticipated. And IBC has really, from what I've been following up, people are pushing them harder to ensure that the results are out, like I've said, in the next 24 hours.
Dennis, thank you so much for the updates, and of course we cannot wait to hear more and more until we have the IEBC officially give us the final results on who is definitely going to be the 5th president of Kenya. Well, we'll be looking out for more from you, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, clearly you can see that it's not only Ugandans who are quite anticipating for the results, but also the Kenyans themselves. However, we do have another correspondent who is going to be telling us exactly, again, another picture over there. But before we get into that, seeing what is happening, and you know how Dennis was mentioning of how people are quite in a very, very serious mood and waiting for the results, but also seeing that we are having totally different tallying centers. Most of the TV stations pointing out that, one candidate is quite at the top and the other is different, and seeing that it's only one media house that is pointing out different results from the majority. I mean, does this say anything? Or maybe everyone is entitled to tally their own results and provide it to the citizens of Kenya.
I want to say there is so much that Uganda will have to learn from the electoral process of Kenya, but I think they also have something to learn from us. For example, one, that is very dangerous to begin with.
Yes.
That is very dangerous because there are people that take what they hear, what they see on media as Bible truth. So if someone's mind has been tuned all along that one candidate is leading and they're producing statistics showing to that, what happens? What we do here in Uganda is we don't tarry. The Electoral Commission gives either hourly or 2-hourly results that are coming in. And what happens is that is what the media you take.
Yes.
So I think that is a lesson. That's why you find that in Uganda, all media houses will give the same results, because once the Electoral Commission receives results, you that are at the tally center, you get them, you communicate them to your media house. So I think that is a very dangerous thing, more so looking at how heated this election was.
Maybe also to just take it from there and to pick something from you, Felix. When we see all these provisional results coming in from different media houses, can we actually say that they can influence the final results of the IEBC, or whatever they avail? It's just provisional because at the end of the day, the main regulatory body IEBC has to deliver.
No, they definitely feel it's just about personal. it's just about trying to be smart in business.
Yes.
It's as good as useless, just as Bob did say, and clearly you do realize that in the existence of a national institution, like for example, like a body that is just to do with electoral processes and all these kind of things. So in any other way, it is the only mandated body. But I know for a fact that no institution can mess with such an election. They definitely have probably in touch, or they are like in touch with the electoral body to be able to give such results. But far from that, I feel also much commendation comes in to people of Kenya and Nairobi, that at least they were able to have an election, and an inclusive one for that matter. We did see many people in the diaspora also participate. Philo, you do take note of that, and the contribution of the people in the diaspora. Yeah. So, and that in its own self has been a big plus for this particular election. And you do notice that people, every time you give citizens a right to be able to be a part of their own politics decisions, it is more of an inclusive democracy, which Kenya has definitely given a leapfrog in terms of the same for the all East African countries. And also the assertion of a reality is that you do notice that these particular numbers have at least contributed a great percentage to the ultimate number of the people who are able to vote. So it's a plus, I must say, for Kenya. But the only disability for me, or in my opinion, I see with this whole process is the fact that they have another 7 days to give announcement.
Yes. So they have a period
I feel that's, you can't keep, and this is in its own self, in my opinion, again, a trigger, because you can't keep people anxious. You get it.
The 7 days are really many.
It's not for a crucial. I don't find the rationale of the 7 days, because look here, people have voted. Boom. Why do you have the 7 days? Let's talk about in the event that you're going to have petitions. When will they be addressed? Remember, these are expeditious, that are time bound and all that. You get it now. I find that a gypsy jappy. So I don't know.
Because for them, what they say is, their law gives a period of 7 days.
Yes.
You can choose to make them 2, 3 or 4.
Yes.
But maximum should be 7 days.
But within a period of 7 days. And IEBC says that they don't need a pressure exerted on them.
They still have time. And when you look at what the IEBC does is, when they get the digital forms, contrary to what we do here, is they must also get the manual forms.
Physical.
Then the physical. because for us we call them declaration forms, but for them they have where these agents signed and all agreed that this is what we voted for. So when you look at how big Kenya is, and I think this is also aimed at being accurate. So by the time you get, it is easy to get the electronic thing because someone feeds in within the computer. But when you wait for a piece of paper,
but is there a journey of 7 days
to arrive
in Kenya
and get to you? Then that is something. So when they say a maximum, that means if you have what you have in 4 days, in 2 days you can announce. But I think what the Electoral Commission there is telling them, independent electoral and Bora Commission is telling them that, you know what, don't rush us. We want to give you the best of this election.
Well, at least it's precedented that what my brother is calling the best has been challenged time and again in court. So we all have these challenges anyway, but I know that constitutional amendments or constitutional existences are informed by what they call public opinion and by far majority for the same. But I know for a fact what's happening in Kenya, Philo, for me, lastly, I'll say, is a true definition of growth in democratic practices.
Yes.
And I will allude that to one, the fashion and style of this election, the calmness in this particular election, but also the principles in this election. It says a lot. People may not have that to pick, but when and we have been continuously talking about the participants and stretching from the oldest. You can pick the likes of Raila
Odinga, yes,
in his capacity.
Yes.
You wouldn't doubt his capacity. You come down to the likes of William Ruto, deputy president, has served in that class of politicians. You come down to there's a Professor
George
Wajakoya.
Yes.
In his own discipline.
Yes.
He's respectable. You come still down to the legal colleague of mine, Reverend also come lawyer. You see the debacle of people who appeared on the ballot paper. I don't want to compare to Uganda because I will give you a list of the people who we had. So, and for me, that in its own self is a big picture to the East African countries on the kind of people who present themselves for some offices. That you look, all of them have a traced track record of participatory attributions towards public service. So you wouldn't doubt, and no wonder there has been a bit of fairly sober mood in this election compared to some countries that I won't mention, the East African community.
Yes. For me, I think in the Kenyan election, one of the things that has raised concern that is still this election, yes, Felix alluded to the people themselves. We would say they are credible people and of course their nature. But one thing that I'm asking myself, you have 22 million registered voters, Philo, and 14 only turn out to vote. I think that is also something it's questionable.
Yes.
You know, so many register, very few, 22.
But I think it's the story in Uganda as well, if you remember.
Yeah, and in Uganda, so
we had about 6 or something like that.
Because the question happens, what happens between the time when they register? Because you think their intent, the intent is to actually go under the actual voting, and then when it comes to the day and when you're supposed to do that, the turnout is low.
Slow, and yet this seemed an election that maybe had attracted
was quite
so
inclusive
much.
from us.
Yeah, so much. Ruto put up a very good game. Odinga did the same, and you thought almost every eligible Kenyan is going to vote. We would say those that they are not registered, but these are registered voters, and they don't show up on the day of voting. Just reminding me here, we had a presidential candidate, Dr. Orara Otunu, who never voted even for himself.
Yes.
So some of these things, I think we must,
Could it be lack of sensitization?
What happens, you know?
Because I'll tell you what, and sometimes people do register as voters, not because they intend to vote, but because they think it's a national obligation to do so.
Yes.
I've said the same here. People go to register because they think, you see, in our illiterate
someone
communities,
registers, goes to update the register.
Yes, because people think it's a citizenry duty. Just like when you go to get a national ID, because you know, between you and me, you know that a voter identity, something like that, can be used in very many other things.
Yes, and we actually saw some Kenyans rushing to go and get that on the eve of the election day, because there was quite a big number of them that didn't have these national cards, and they were rushing to wherever they had to go to pick them.
But what is funny is having a national ID doesn't make you a voter. In Uganda and in Kenya, you can have a national ID, but when you didn't register to vote.
Those are, those are different things.
Those are different things. So when someone labors to go and still do all this pinning up, confirming, I think that is something that the experts in this democracy that we're embracing, we have to really understand. Is it voter apathy? Is it maybe polling stations, we don't distribute them so close to the people? What is causing this? Because really it has an impact on our elections.
And I think basing on this conversation, I think this is something we also need to get from our correspondent. And he tells us why, because we saw quite a big number of Kenyans fully registered and ready to vote, but the turnout was, the turnout was low. And Macquarie Vincent is joining us right now to tell us how the situation is going down there. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning once again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be hosted by you on this gloomy, cold morning in Nairobi.
Well, we were having a conversation right here, especially, of course, about the voter turnout. Now, we saw reports and we saw numbers coming in about 22.1 million Kenyan registered voters. Now, these are people who are ready to go and cast their vote on the D-Day. That was of 9th August 2022. But the turnout was quite low. And we're trying to beat our heads together and wonder why. What happened in between there? Could there have been some challenges that really caused us to see a very low turnout compared to the number of registered voters in Kenya?
Well, there's a lot of debate going on, discussions going on as to why might we have witnessed such a low voter turnout. In fact, that was somewhat expected, but not to the level that it ended up being. So, for instance, the younger generation, and many polls indicated that the youth were not as passionate about this election. And we did speak to a number of them on the streets of Nairobi and other cities who implied that they were not so keen on voting. But then when it came to voting day, it appeared that the number of people who didn't vote was higher than anticipated. Now there's so many, several theories. Some say, of course, there had been apathy generally, and while they had the intention of voting during the time of registration, over time they got discouraged by the messages they were getting from the candidates themselves. There were a few things that some of them said along the way that may have turned people away from the election itself. Some of them have said that it could have been that perhaps towards the last few weeks, depending on what they were hearing from the candidates, it made a difference, because there was a time, for example, the deputy president was viciously attacking the outgoing president, and some of the things he was saying, including accusing him of possibly planning to kill him or his family, turned some people away from him. And there was a moment, I think Raila Odinga had said something regarding religion, insisting that Kenya is a secular nation, and therefore, things should not be seen from a very purely religious perspective. Some of those who are very religious, who are very passionate about religion, were put off. So there are a number of factors that might have contributed to the low voter turnout. And some of it could also be that over time, people's confidence in the Electoral Commission was getting eroded, depending on, what kind of things we were hearing about the preparations for this election. Some were hearing stories about a possible plan to use state machinery to manipulate the election. And therefore, some may have felt like, what is the point of voting if somehow this election has been predetermined in favor of one of the candidates?
Vincent, also, if I have my geography right, you seem to be maybe a bit of away from at least so much of population of people, but just to let us know, after this time when now 2 days people are anxious waiting for the results, what is the security like? Are we seeing maybe more deployments than what it would have been previously? What is the environment like in terms of security?
Yeah, frankly speaking, the security is of no serious concern. People seem to be going about their businesses. The government had ensured that they deploy law enforcement officers to all the polling stations across the country. Everything seems peaceful. I mean, there have been a few, brawls at the polling stations between, supporters of the different parties, sometimes agents, reports of skirmishes here and there, but nothing outside on the streets. It looks like people are not interested in, for instance, at this moment, engaging in any serious protests or demonstrations. They're just waiting to see, because at the end of the day, the biggest race, the presidential race, has not been decided, and the numbers indicate that it's a very close election. Nobody can predict at this moment, with the remainder of a few million votes, who will actually win the election. So nobody has had any reason to have, some serious to raise issues at the moment, because the process seems to be going on smoothly, and so it's a question of just being patient until the last moment when the Electoral Commission will declare who wins. Now, we don't know how the reaction will be for the one who loses, for example, or his supporters, because remember, they've said they will accept and concede defeat as long as they believe the process was free, fair, and credible.
Also, we know that apart from the presidential elections, there are some already winners when you look at levels of governors and all that. Are there some outstanding figures that have made it or have lost so far according to the results?
If you mean like those are the races, governor, members of parliament, senator,
yes,
they're just coming in. We don't have any unique development in that area, other than the fact that some of the former members of parliament have retained their positions. They are newcomers. They are coming in gradually. We're getting those numbers in. There is nothing that stands out. I suppose it's because the main focus has been on the presidential, at least at the national level. But of course, in the different parts of Kenya, their process continues of counting the votes for members of parliament and senators, and some have won, some have lost, but nothing really stands out so much that it has become perhaps a subject of national discourse at the moment.
Maybe also, Ndugu Amakori, they are just related to the same. We do notice and know that sometimes how the parliament is formed does matter so much on how the president will do his governance. Have we seen any particular organization where we see that at least guys from Kwanza or the team of Ruto or William are still, who has the numbers in terms of MPs so far, at least with the provisional results, because normally that also matters on how governance shall be?
Yes. Not too many have come in yet. I mean, we are not able to tell so far who has a majority yet in Parliament, for example, because the few that have come in are not enough for you to tabulate and give a sense of what percentage any of them is getting in the upcoming Parliament. So that's when we can update a bit later. We just have a few coming from constituency to constituency, but there is not enough numbers to give a substantive kind of answer or assessment as to who might actually control the next Parliament or the next Senate at the moment.
Well, thank you so much for those updates, and hopefully IEBC better come in with the results, because the anxiety is really taking over. Thank you so much, Vincent.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's quite very interesting seeing that the youth, and from what I'm getting is that the youth contribute quite a very big percentage when it comes to the vote. And now seeing that they don't relate to what some of these contenders were saying. And even...
It's the exact thing I was saying, I think, a couple of days ago. I think a Monday or something, and the argument was simple. They don't feel represented. As we were looking at it earlier, as I was saying, that you look at the list of the contenders, from the oldest to still the youngest, the would-be youngest in this race. You do notice that also for them, they are not necessarily represented. But even far from that, all the people in this race, apart from the limping two, that is the professor and the pastor, the two major principles in this election, you notice that they have had a piece they have shared fairly in terms of governance for Kenya. And that's why, if speaking to a youth who is hustling, they may not relate very much because, one, they don't seem to appreciate that there's anything new that may come from the two camps.
Yes.
Why? Raila Odinga has done it many times, not necessarily as part of government, but two, also, Ruto has been in government for all these terms. Now, the question is, where do you fit these? The only thing you're telling them is, I don't know how to, let me call it in English, like they are, what they look at the promises as empty promises. And that in itself is a bit tricky. So, clearly, that informs the low turn-up of the youth in this particular election. But nevertheless, they need to keep in mind, the youth, that whatever decision comes out of this election will definitely affect how they will be as youth or how they will turn out to live youthhood. So I think that they should keep that in mind as well.
Well, we cannot wait to see what turns out. But also coming back here in Uganda, we know that we have by-elections today, that is in Gogonyo, Palisa, and of course also in Buchimbiri. We'll be expecting other by-elections to be going down. Now, our very own Onyango is in Palisa over there, and he's monitoring, seeing how the situation looks like. Onyango, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning, and also maybe going straight to the point, maybe create for us a picture what is happening over there in Palisa.
Yes, good morning colleagues back there at Nairo Broadcast House. Yes, we are in Palisa district, and as you rightly said, we are kindly monitoring what is happening here in Palisa district in as far as Gogonyo parliamentary by-elections are concerned. We have had a section of like a few days of campaigns, and now today is supposed to be the polling day for this by-election. The situation seems to be calm and good, quiet. There is not much hype. There is not much expectations, as we all know that we are going to have what many are referring to as a dull by-election. This is probably after the withdrawal of some two candidates. But before I take you back to that line, preparations for the polling are in full gears. We all know, and as by the law, the election or voting is supposed to begin at exactly 7 and winds up at 4 p.m. And this is what's happening here. But as we speak now, there are few voters coming up at different polling stations we have managed to tour in Gogonyo County. And this can be anchored on the line that the voting necessarily means nothing. This is just a legal procedure where we have to go for voting to authorize the candidacy or the slot of member of parliament for NRM candidate now who remains alone in this race. So voters, we don't know whether they will be coming up in the numbers we had expected earlier, but by all means they will be coming for voting. So Gogonyo County has 4 sub-counties and more than 15 parishes. So we are expecting polling to happen at over 144 polling stations across the county. And we were briefed last night by the Electoral Commission that they had no choice but other than conducting this by-election. This all started last week when rumors started circulating that 2 of the other candidates, that was the NRM leaning independent Issa Taligola and the NUP's Joseph Okoboy Oporot, had indicated that they were pulling out of this race. Then this Tuesday, when the president was in the district to campaign for the NRM candidate, who happens to be Derek Oroni, these two candidates appeared at the two campaign venues where the president was engaging supporters of the NRM. And this was Opoloto Koboy, who announced that he had officially decided to pull out of the race. Then the independent Issa Tarigora also came in at the last campaign trail. He had been forgotten about his presence, but the PPS to the president, Kenneth Omona, did go and whisper to him at the last moment when he was almost leaving the podium that Tarigora was around, and the president did give him a chance to speak to the supporters who had gathered to listen to him. And this is where Tarigora announced that for the interest of the party, by the advice from the president himself, because we are made to understand that the president met these two candidates, Tarigora and Okoboy, a few days ago, before he came into the district, that he had offered himself to step down in favor of the NRM candidate. We all thought that would be the end of the game. We couldn't even be here today, but by law, this election has been forced to continue, even in regardless of what is happening, in regardless of where we are today. As many have said it, it is a race of one against himself. Derek Oroni of NRM is competing in the sun against himself. Though the ballot paper will be having 3 candidates, but we know the 2 other candidates have withdrawn. But why are we on this level of having this election today? It is a legal matter where the NUP's candidate, Joseph Okoboy Opolot, wasn't in this election on his own, but he was a party-sponsored candidate. And this is why we are going to see voting happening today, because the NUP party hadn't indicated that their candidate has already thrown out the towel. Yesterday we sought the NUP Secretary General, because by law the NUP Secretary General was supposed to write an official communication to the EC informing them about the withdrawal of their candidate from the race, but this did not happen, and that's why the Electoral Commission had no other choice but to go on with the preparations and plan.
Robert,
election.
That's well explained. Let's look at the awareness of the masses. Are they aware of this information? And if they are aware, your assessment, because you've been on the ground, or are we going to see a number coming in favor to vote for a candidate who is still on the ballot paper, despite the fact that he's not contesting?
Yes, to answer your question, this has worried all the parties here. EC and NRM are all concerned. Last night we were talking with the Director of Mobilization NRM, Rosemary Nassau Gaseninde, and was also expressing the same question you are raising, that now we have disorganized our people. We did inform them that this guy is an opposed NRM candidate, but now we have again to go and tell them that, you know what, wake up in the morning and go and vote. Some voters, if you try to interact with one or two, they have totally lost morale of going for voting, because they keep on asking, now which kind of election are we going to have? Where are we going to vote? So it takes a million times to explain to them that, you know what, we need you back on the ballot box so that you can make these votes or the candidature of Oroni stand so that he can go back to parliament. And that's the fact that I said, yes, it is early. People in this area first go for garden, but we don't expect the earlier expectations where we had thought that very many people will be coming out for voting, because during campaigns people had shown interest in this election. When you look at the rallies of NRM candidate Derek Oroni has been attracting quite a good number of supporters, but we guess the number has totally scaled down. Very few people will be coming out for this by-election. There have been some announcements through some medical systems. They have been moving around like over the night, silently telling people to come up and vote like by the Electoral Commission, but we don't hope that that message has sinked very deeply into the minds of many. Even the candidate himself, Derek Oroni, even up to yesterday, he refused to talk to us, to the media. He was totally very disappointed under the line that he's now giving an excuses that he had spent a lot of money during campaign. This is an by-election coming up after the nullification of his earlier victory through a court petition. So he felt he was being cheated on the other side. He wanted to have what he himself is saying, I wanted to go for a by-election where people have the choice to make. But this time around, there will be no that second sort of people deciding whom they want, because Oroni, as we stand today, is going back to parliament.
Well, thank you so much, Robert Onyango, for those updates. And of course, we cannot wait to hear from you as we go on, and you continue monitoring. We'll be keeping in touch. Thank you so much. Well, there you go. That is Robert Onyango right now in Gogonyo, monitoring the by-elections happening over there in Palliser. And we also can't wait to see what is going to come out of that. But as we are into all that, it's also very important for you to know what's happening in the papers, the dailies, the big stories. And starting off with the Daily Monitor, the big story right there is new MPs to have degree proposal. This definitely will be answering some questions that have been long asked by Robert here and Felix. A section of members of parliament is seeking to amend the constitution to put a bachelor's degree as the minimum requirement for those seeking parliamentary and presidential seats. Now, in the higher ranks, Ochola tells police more promotions are coming. And again, I'm sure that this is going to put a smile on very many faces. Ruto Raila alternate lead as counting continues. This is, of course, in relation to the 2022 Kenya elections. And Mac scientists develop app that detects toxins in food. Quite making some milestones in science over there. And in the relationships, I am still in love with my ex. Well, I'm sure Felix would have a lot to say about this.
Seriously?
So grab yourself the Daily Monitor this morning and catch up on these stories and many, many more. Well, what do we have in the New Vision, Felix?
Of course, the New Vision, Philo. Police to digitize crime filing, and of course, which way Kenya. Tally shows close race. Most of the polls results submitted. Moi's son loses seat. And Museveni, Somalia president, discussed trade. Now 2 killed in, that is Nimule Juba highway ambush, and ex-Ellen Boss trial starts. Well, of course, also Bukumbiri Gogonyo vote is today. Now, World Bank $5 billion project to create opportunities in Obongi, and also guess who is this? Former Vice President Dr. Specioza Wandera Kaziwe. There inside the papers, I give you another detail of the same.
The Daily Nation Decision 2022, the cliffhanger too close to call. We're looking at 49.21% for Raila Odinga's share of the counted votes so far. And this is according to the Nation Media Group. And 51.12% for William Ruto's share of the tally. Still, according to NMG. Now, big names sent packing. Out you go. Get a clear picture of who is definitely leaving some of these. Now, the close allies of President Kenyatta, including National Assembly Majority Leader. Now, all these were into the parliament for Kenyatta. So, we're yet to see who are the new entrants. Turnout at 64% results in Porto final. Again, another story you could catch up in the Daily Nation this morning. We're going in for a break. When we get back, we'll be talking more about traffic updates and, of course, more from the climate and weather arena. Good morning.
Enjoy more GBs for the same price on Airtel. Kirabo using to Gabane. We have increased GBs across all your favorite packs. Now, 4 GB is at 10,000 shillings and 10.5 GB at 22,500 shillings, all valid for a week. For the heavy data users, enjoy 24 GB at 50,000 shillings and 50 GB at 100,000 shillings, all valid for a month. Dial *175# or use the My Airtel app to buy these and more affordable weekly and monthly data bundles on Airtel, the smartphone network.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct
distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, in the traffic updates this morning, I want to focus on areas of Bukoto-Ntinda Road as you're headed towards town, Chambogo, Old Chira Road. So if you're coming in from these areas, well, I want to let you know that for the biggest part of most of these roads are quite very, very busy, and I'm seeing some traffic building up on parts of them. Starting off from Magambo Road, this is of course trying to join to Bukoto-Ntinda Road. There is traffic over there as you're joining the main road, and it is quite heavy because it is clearly marked with red, showing you that we do have quite a number of road users on this very part. As you're joining, of course, this main road as well, you need to know that the traffic is starting to build up over here as shown by orange, so that's another hiccup that you ought to expect. However, there are some other short routes that you could use, or shortcuts. In this case, we do have Chimera Road, which is quite a free one for you if you don't want to go through the traffic buildups that we are witnessing on several parts of this road. We do have Kalungulu Road, but also before you join there, you need to know that Ntinda Road, where you could actually break off as you're headed to Kalungu Road, is also again very heavy with certain traffic jams, as clearly shown by this very specific spot over there. So while you are headed towards your destination, do not be shocked when you come across these traffic. Ntinda Road, for the most part of it, yes, it is quite a smooth ride, quite evident with the green lines, but there are certain hiccups here and there. For example, we do have this very specific spot with quite some heavy traffic, and also as you go on all the way here towards Ntinda Avenue, there is a traffic build-up in that specific spot as well. But for the rest of the road, it shouldn't be a very big problem for you. And as you're headed towards Nakawa, you need to be expecting some traffic building up, especially if you're headed towards the junction. The orange is very evident of that, and here as you're getting closer to the entry point of Kampala Jinja Highway, again you need to expect some traffic over here. The red is quite evident and you cannot afford to miss it. So coming in from those areas as you're headed towards the city center, well, do expect the traffic of course in several places here and there, but it shouldn't be quite problematic. And again, it always changes every minute from now. That's it from the traffic updates this morning. We do have the weather and climate updates coming up next with you, Mollen. Have a great morning. I am Philomena Mastiko.
Well, thank you very much, Philomena. And now we want to take a look at the weather that is happening across the country for this morning. And of course, looking at our satellites, we still have mostly sunny conditions, and of course starting off with intervals of cloudy conditions across most areas within the country. But we do have some rainy systems though that did start off a little bit earlier, and most of that is towards West Nile, parts of Arua, where we have started off with a little bit of rains, and hopefully those will also be crossing over into the afternoon. And when you take a look at what is happening also for parts of the central northern Uganda, we do have some of those systems that are heading towards West Nile, also crossing over to the central northern Uganda, and of course that will be bringing us rains as well over there. And most of the systems are expected to develop especially towards the western sector of the country, but the rest of the country is dealing with mostly cloudy conditions. And of course we have a sunny morning for areas around Kampala and Lake Victoria Basin, Masaka as well, starting off with quite a sunny morning. The same conditions across South southwestern Uganda. You take a look at Mbara right there, also with a sunny morning. Kabale, Fort Portal starting off with quite some sunny skies, and obviously also still having those cloudy weather across the Karamoja region as well as eastern Uganda. Now we're taking a look at the weather forecast for this morning, and of course that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority, and also having some of those temperatures in the forecast for this morning. But it is still quite warm for the southern sector, although temperatures are getting down, especially for the northern region as well as eastern Uganda. Now starting off with the western part of Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabule and Rakai. We're forecasting sunny intervals, and that is starting off at 26 degrees. Now looking at southwestern Uganda, we have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi and Rubirizi. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine as well. Quite a warm day, starting off at 27. And Mount Elgon Highlands, we do have Mbale, Bududa, Buko and Sironko. We're forecasting isolated showers. The temperatures will be starting off quite cold at 25 degrees centigrade. Looking at eastern Lake Victoria Basin, Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja, we're still likely to have some of those scattered showers, and that will be starting off with a pleasant 26 degrees centigrade. Most of those systems will continue into the afternoon over there. Now for Soroti, Katakwi, Amuria and Kumi across eastern Uganda, we're likely to also have some of those rains coming through as we cross over into the afternoon, and this morning we'll be starting off at 26 degrees centigrade. Across Ruero, Woblenzi, Bururi, Nakaseke, we're starting off with a mix of clouds and sunshine, but also a warm morning over there, starting off at 27. And of course, we will be expecting similar weather even in the afternoon with mostly sunny intervals. Now look at the central part of northern Uganda. We already have some of those rainy conditions coming through. Of course, that will be taking in the entire morning across several places, starting off with quite a cool 26 degrees centigrade. Now the central parts of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso. We do expect a little bit of light rains to come through as we head into the afternoon. That will be across several places, also starting off at 26 degrees centigrade. Now we're still looking at mostly those rain-bearing clouds, mostly to the northern half of the continent, and of course for this time of the year, we do expect most of those systems to be around that. Now that is benefiting the northern region though, and as well as parts of eastern Uganda, which is why we're seeing more rains, especially across West Nile, parts of northern Uganda, Karamoja region as well. And again, we are having a pickup of wet weather conditions, especially for parts of eastern Uganda and Mount Elgon Highlands, which also do have a local effect of Mount Elgon over there that does enhance wet weather activities for most of the regions around Mount Elgon. But the rest of the country, if you look at the southern sector, we are still having mostly sunny conditions because most of these rain-bearing clouds are actually to the northern part of the country. And we could be looking at similar weather for the next couple of days as we head into the weekend. But most likely by next week, we will have some of those systems move forward. And of course, we might be looking at a pickup of wet weather activities as we also look forward to the early start of rainy season, which is the second major rainy season across Uganda. That will be taking in late August, of course, moving up to December. That is rainy season, but that also will be coming in a little bit later. And we'll be giving you most of those updates as the rainy season, of course, is being issued out. Well, that is it in terms of weather for this morning. We'll have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up. Later than that, we'll also be getting into the sports highlights and, of course, Good Morning Uganda Extra after that. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, wishing you a wonderful day.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work, But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Ginger Tea drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves, high-flying saves, unbelievable goals. Out of this world celebration.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Gold TV. Love it.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera. Refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning